All right, so the call for today is how to automate a lot of the lead follow-up that you're doing in your business. So a couple of things I want to go over, some best practices. If you're not doing in your business, definitely, you want to make sure you're doing this. My name is Sharad. I am the owner and founder of REsimpli. I also invest in Northwest Indiana. For any of you guys who are not familiar with Northwest Indiana, it's right outside of Chicago, practically a suburb of Chicago. So I have my office in Highland, Indiana, about 30 to 45 minutes drive from downtown Chicago. I used to live in Chicago until 2015 before I moved to Carlsbad, California. And 2020, I moved to Canada. So I live up in Toronto, Canada right now. However, in July, my wife, my family, were moving back to Carlsbad, California. So I've been investing out of state for last 8 years now. We do mostly fix and flip, very little wholesaling, but we do a lot of direct to seller marketing. We do direct mail, cold calling, PPC, paper lead, like need to sell my house fast, Liberty Leads, and a couple of other marketing channels that we use in our business. But our exit once we get a property under contract is to actually close on them. And I own a property management company also. So I would say we lean more towards selling properties to other investors than putting it on MLS. But some of you guys were on a call earlier today I was on a call with Call Porter, and I was telling them we closed on 6 properties this morning. We bought it from a seller. It's 6 total, 13 units, 5 2 units, and 1 3 unit property. We bought them for $650,000, and we're gonna rehab them and sell them to other investors. I might keep 1 or 2 for myself, but the idea right now is to sell them to other investors. That's the goal. So that's what. And then we have 3 other properties under contract. 2 would be flips, and 1 would be turnkey. So at this point, we try to do about 60 to 70% turnkey properties, and about 30-40% would be our retail flip. But if we had a choice, we would really love to do more turnkey properties. So any of you guys have anything in Northwest Indiana, please let me know. Anywhere except Gary. We don't buy anything in Gary. So and then please excuse me if I'm a little bit low energy today. I have fever, just my kids had cold, cough, fever, and I think it finally came down to me. Hey, Brandon, you can email me like Sharad at REsimpli.com, and then I can look at the property from there. All right, and then just a little bit on the real estate news. So I'm buying a personal residence in Carlsbad, California, and I'm going through this whole lending process, and it's been a roller coaster ride. Interest rate going up, going down. So we finally got an interest rate locked today at 5.75% for the property that we're buying. And then I thought I was gonna walk in and then just choose whichever property I wanted to buy, and it was insane how competitive the market is, like how strong the market is for sellers right now. I literally, the day the property came on the market, I texted the seller. I said, look, I want to work with you directly. I don't have an agent. You can keep both sides of the commission. And, I really want to buy the house. And there were like 3 or 4 offers. But, every little advantage that you can have in this market helps. So we ended up getting the house under contract, but it's insane how competitive the market is. Multiple offers on everything, like things flying off the market like in week to 2 weeks tops. And we're noticing the same thing in the Northwest Indiana market. For reference, the properties that we flip are anywhere from 150, 175 to like 225 to 250. Right now, we're not going anything over 250 in our market. The one property that we are closing next week, next Thursday, we're buying it for 130. It needs about 25 to 30,000 rehab, and we'll flip it for about 225 to 250, 225, very conservative, but we should be able to get 250 for it. It's already in pretty good condition. So, and then turnkey properties, if we can buy 2 to 4 units, there's still a very, very strong demand from investors. Even with the higher interest rate, we were noticing, even when the interest rate was like 6.5%, 7%, we were still noticing strong demand from investors that we're selling properties to. So if you guys haven't looked into selling properties to other investors, I would definitely add that to your, exit. Really, really cool way to sell properties. And this is the website that we use a lot right here. Roofstock, I mentioned it on a couple of other calls. They charge, I believe, it used to be 2%. I think they've pumped it up 2.5%. Really good way to kind of easily sell your property. We just sold one with them last week or a couple of weeks ago. Very smooth process. We never even had to talk to the buyer. Went very, very smooth. There were a couple of issues that we ran into with closing because I live in Canada, so they made it a little bit of a hassle. But if you just want to get a sense of what properties are worth in your market, you go into buy, click on properties, and then it'll give you like list of all the properties that they have. You can go into location, and you can go into location. So I'm going to choose Indiana right here. Indiana. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose Indiana. It'll give me for the entire state of Indiana. So most of these are going to be in Indianapolis, but let me see if there's one in the market where we invest. Pretty much all Indianapolis. But yeah, we invest in like Northwest Indiana, Hammond, Maryville area. There's more here, but you can get a pretty good sense of what the properties are worth in your market, what the other investors are selling for. And if you're noticing some price reduction, it's like another way to comp the property if you're selling to an investor. And then from what we have noticed, the investors will generally tend to pay a little bit more than your retail buyer, and you don't have to do all the updates that you would normally do with we have fix and flip properties. So I'm actually not noticing anything in our market, like 80-90% is in Indianapolis, but you can kind of get a sense of how much, what properties are getting a price up, how much they're renting for, based on what we have noticed. As long as you can provide a 1% rent to price ratio. So if the property is worth $100,000 and if it can rent for about 1% monthly rent, so $1,000 monthly rent, there is very, very strong demand for those properties. So if you guys haven't looked into it, I highly recommend. It doesn't hurt to just go through the process of registering with Roofstock. If you have something, you can put it on the market. It has to be a finished product. It cannot be a property that you just bought and then you're trying to wholesale. It's not for that. It is a finished property that you're selling right here. There has to be a property management in place. You can actually manage the properties that we sell. I would say 95% of the time, like Roofstock has some preferred property manager that is managing the property. So they'll end up, the property will end up going to them. But what we have noticed, as long as we can provide 1% monthly rent to price ratio, we haven't had problems selling the property. So really, really good way to kind of see what the properties are selling for. Really cool way. And I think it's like 2.5%. I can confirm. I'll look at my HUD statement from the last closing we had, and I can confirm on that. So Roofstock is mainly for, I think it's only for rental properties. So let's say if you rent the property, let's say starting March 1st, so you want to time your lease as close to the time you're going to put it on the market or put it on Roofstock. So the investor that's buying the property, if they see a long lease term left on the property, it definitely, they look at it favorably. Versus if you had a property that you're trying to sell and the lease is ending in the next 2 to 3 months, the investors don't appreciate that. And at least in our cases, I don't think any of the investors that we sold the property to actually came and looked at the property. I don't think any of them came. So these are selling your properties to high net worth individual. They have cash. They feel comfortable investing in real estate. And then this is, you want to provide them a solid asset. The properties do go through an inspection. So you want to make sure your properties, so what we do with our properties is before we put it on Roofstock, we actually have our own home inspector go through, look at the property, check everything. That does a couple of things. My project manager lives in California. I live up in Canada. So it gives us an additional check on our contractors to make sure, they're not missing anything major. So like another set of eyes to look at the property. And then we're not expecting the home inspector to give us a detailed report on the property. We just want him to highlight, like, we're not so concerned about the cosmetic stuff. We just want to make sure all the mechanical foundation, the expensive things with the house are taken care of, no mold, no foundation issues, those sort of things. And we pay about like $150 for the home inspector, $200 to just come and check the property for us. So really, really cool way. If you guys haven't looked into it, I would definitely check it out. Cool. So let me know if you guys have any questions on that, what our process looks like. I'm not very involved in it. My project manager is, and I can definitely put you in touch with her and she can help with that side. So cool. All right. So yeah, I mean, the 6 properties we bought today, we bought it for about $650,000. Like we got some rent credit and security deposit credit. So I think we spent like $615 after all the prorations, and the goal is to put about $250 to $300 in them, and then we hope to sell them for about $1.3 to $1.35 million to different investors. I don't think we'll be selling it as a package. We'll be selling individually to different investors. Hopefully, we'll net about $250 roughly on these 6 properties. They're all rented. They're all occupied, or at least 12 of the 13 units, I believe, are occupied. So we're going to go through initially the process of either bumping up the monthly rent, which we're not very hopeful about. The tenants that are tenants that are occupying the property right now, but we'll go through the eviction process. There's one that's on Section 8 through the end of the year. So that's the unit that we'll touch at the very end, but all the others are on month to month. So we'll have them vacate all the units. We'll go in rehab and then start with the one that needs the least amount of work and then just go up from there. So that's our exit with that property. I'll keep you guys updated on how that turns out. So cool. All right. All right. So the call for today is how to automate a lot of the lead follow-up that you're doing in your business. So a couple of things I want to go over, some best practices. If you're not doing in your business, definitely you want to make sure you're doing this. First thing you want to make sure is this column for your team, for you and everyone on your team, is always 0. So as long as you make sure this entire column is 0, or entire row is 0, sorry, then that means there's no lead that's falling through the cracks. So every lead that has an action that needs to be taken, someone on your team is taking that. So first thing would be tasks. You want to make sure all the tasks for your team, everyone on your team, is 0. So right here, it shows me total 370 tasks. So this is list of all the tasks for all the properties that I have, whether they're lead, inventory, sold, or they're in my wholesale pipeline, they're in rental. So it'll show me count of that. And this shows me count of 185 tasks that I have related to leads only. So for us in our business, the most important tasks are the ones getting in touch with the lead. So these are the ones you want to make sure you're definitely 100% zeroing out at the end of the day, every single day without exception. So when you click right here, it will show you only the leads that make up those 185 tasks. So you want to start right here. And then there's a couple of things you can do. You can click right here, open up the dialer if you have this, and then you can start marking these tasks completed. You can also do from the dialer result screen, or you can just open up all your tasks, and then if there's nothing that you need to do, like I'll just click next property, go to the task page and see what needs to be done. So it's only going to show you leads that you have in your pipeline with a task due either today or it's past due already. So something that you should have completed as of today. So you want to make sure you're zeroing that out. So when I go back, that number is going to be lower now. I think it's 185 or something. Now it's 182. And next thing is the new leads that you have. So this is another thing. Anytime you get new leads in your pipeline, you want to make sure you're moving it to the next stage as quickly as possible. So any new leads that came into your pipeline, whether it came from call, text message, web lead, Zapier lead, whatever it might be. So the goal for you is to make sure that lead is going into the next stage of your pipeline as quickly as possible. So you just move right here. And then once you do that, this number will keep going down. So you want to make sure that number is 0. Open messages are any messages that you receive from your lead, either call or text that you haven't responded back to. So this shows that I have 28 leads that I have not responded back to. So there's a couple of ways you can essentially close the loop on these. is one, you would go in. If you send a text message to this lead, so if I do this, I'll clear up my open batch from right here. And then let's refresh. And then the other would be if I go back to my, sorry. So this went down to 27. The other would be if there's no action to take. If the lead responded back saying, okay, I'm not interested right now, you can just click right here. It will remove the open badge, and then the number will go down. So that's like one of the KPIs that we track for our team, that this is 0. And any buyer that have called or texted back, so you have the inbox for them. And this is your internal communication that you have internally with your team, communicating, hey, everything's going okay. So you make sure this is all 0 for everyone on your team. And then the next section is I'll go over this, but the really important section is your abandoned lead. So if you have it right here, I'll tell you basically, these are the leads that have no drip campaign, no task assigned to them. That means nobody is working on them. So if I have 5 new leads, and out of those 5, I have 2 that have no pending tasks and 2 that are not on drip, no pending tasks. And then you can click on any one of these. It will take you to list of properties that match that criteria. So if I go right here and I either create a task for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and create a task to call the lead. And let's say I need to call the lead in 2 months from now. I go ahead and create the lead. Once I do that, I go back. This number will go down from 2 to 1, meaning I have a task that's assigned to that lead. So for us in our business, really the dead leads are the only ones that should not be on a drip or have no pending task, but everything else outside of that should have either a task or a drip campaign. What that does is when the task is due, so the one that I set up for 2 months from now, I don't have to worry about that lead for now. Let's say before 2 months are over, the lead calls me or sends me a text message. It's going to automatically populate in my open leads, so I can manage it from there, and I can mark the task as completed. Or I'm moving into the next stage. We'll ask you, there's some pending tasks, you want to leave them open or mark them completed. Or let's say the lead doesn't call you or text you back, then what will happen 2 months from now is these 2 numbers will automatically go up by 1, telling you, hey, there's additional tasks that you have related to lead that you need to take care of. So as long as you put every lead on a drip campaign or have a task assigned to it, and then you manage everything from here, there is never, ever going to be any lead that will ever fall through the cracks. So abandoned leads, make sure every lead is on a drip or has a task assigned to it. And next thing, you want to make sure that everyone on your team is making this 0. So there's a couple of different ways how you can monitor everyone on your team. One would be you select a dropdown and select somebody else's name. So I'll show them all the leads that are assigned to them. If this number is not 0, or the easier way is you can go into leaderboard, and below every person's name, it's going to show for every single person how many open leads they have, how many pending tasks they have, how many open leads, and how many messages that they have not replied back to. So you want to make sure that this is 0. You want to keep account of everyone on your team, hold them accountable to this number, that, hey, I want you to make sure you're making every single task, open lead, and internal communication 0 at the end of the day. We are working on a daily productivity email that should go live in a couple of weeks before the end of the month. It will really give you a very, very deep insight into your business on a daily basis. The email will go out like about 11:30 or midnight EST. It will give you everything that happened in your business for that day, including how many appointments you went on, how many offers you made, what property you made an offer on, what property you had an appointment for. It'll give you productivity of every single person. So it's going to be basically give you information about dashboard, from leaderboard, from a couple of other sources that we're pulling that data from. And then you can look at that, know exactly everything that happened in your business, who really crushed it, who did not, how long were they on the phone for, what was their average call duration, how many calls they made, SMS they sent, really, really deep insight. And then you can also be prepared for your next day just looking at that email. So expect that to go live in next couple of weeks. We're working on that right now, but it's a lot of data that we're pulling from a bunch of different sources, pulling it from here, pulling it from leaderboard, pulling it from appointments, offers. So there's a lot of information that we have to gather for that. It'll even tell you, do you have any contingencies that are past due? So you kind of know what's going on in your business. So any questions on that before I move forward? All right.
Yes, sure, Sharad.
Go ahead.
Is it possible to have our lead manager see this video that you're making right now?
Yeah,
I don't know.
This call is being recorded, and it's also streaming on our Facebook group, on the Wholesale Mastermind Facebook group. So I would have them like join that group, and then they can go back in. So it should be done in like next 5 minutes. The recording should be done.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Not next 5 minutes, yeah.
Right. So the topic of, these topics on, work in the CRM, I don't know if it really has to do with the mastermind group. It really has to do with teaching, on the regular Facebook group, don't you think?
I mean, the regular Facebook group, we've tried posting it there, but then the other users that we have, they only want to see stuff that's specific to REsimpli, feature request or some other question that they have specific to like a feature.
Okay, that's what this. It seems like that's what this is teaching us how to use the CRM properly and efficiently.
No, I mean, you guys tell us like wherever you want this, we'll post it there. Like we started posting it, but then
I think it'd be very helpful.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. And then also, really quick, if you don't have your team, if you haven't had your team sign up on this course.resimpli.com, I would do that. So we took like, again, this is not 3.0 updated right now, but it should be updated soon. We're working on the videos, but this is like, so we take everything that we have and we broke it into like different courses, so to speak. So if you have someone on your team, like, uploading list stacking, so they can go in, they can get really good idea, and then we break everything into like smaller, shorter videos, so they can go in, and if they have a question, hey, how do I bulk action list stacking? So they don't have to like sit through everything. They can just literally go and watch this video and then just be done with it. And then this is where, as we update videos for 3.0, this is where we will be updating it. Cool. All right. Donna has a question. When I do that on my open lead, the screen automatically goes back to the leads tab. It would be nice if it stayed on the current dashboard that I'm working. So when you click on, Donna, when you click on the open leads, it will take you to the leads page. It's supposed to take you to leads page. So the purpose for that is, so right now it shows I have 26 open leads. That means I have 26 messages that I got from my seller. Either they called me or texted me that I haven't responded back to. So when you click right here, and it shows you for your entire pipeline. So you want to make sure you're not missing anything in your pipeline. So it includes every single status, warm lead, dead lead. So imagine if you have something sitting in your dead lead, and all of a sudden, you're not even marketing to that person, and that seller calls you or sends you a text message that you're not even have on an active drip, then the number in open leads will go up, and you're like, wait a minute, oh, I have someone in open leads that, oh, sorry, dead leads that sends me a text message, and it might be, hey, don't call me or text me again. Then you can just click right here, remove them from open leads. So it's supposed to take you to that leads page, so all the leads that you have that are open in your pipeline.
Right, but it takes you right back to the dashboard instead of leaving the list so you can continue working it.
So it doesn't do this for you when you click on it?
Right, I see the leads. If you click on one of those leads and start working it, and then once you close the lead, it goes back to the dashboard instead of going back to the list. So I can work the list.
Right here, if you click right here on leads, it'll take you back to the leads page. I'll only show you the set filter. So you don't want to click right here. Once you're in a lead, let's say you work on this lead, you call them, text them, whatever you need to do. You don't want to click right here. You want to click on lead. So it'll bring you back to that with only open lead. So it will not reset the filter.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yep, no worries. All right. Taylor has a question. If all my leads have tasks, why do I have open leads? You said open leads mean there is something we have not replied back to. So Taylor, the open leads are the ones, then you might have a lead that has a task assigned to them, and it's also an open lead. It's not that if it's an open lead, it doesn't have a task, or if it has a task, it's not an open lead. So you might have, let's say if I have a lead, let me go back here and let me expand it. All right, so this is a perfect example, right? If I go right here, this is an open lead, but I also have tasks assigned to them. So I might have a task to call the lead in 2 months, but if the lead calls me back or sends me a text message before the task is due, or even after the task is due, it's going to add that open badge telling me that, hey, it's an open lead now. And it shows the running timer, like how long it's been open for. So you want to make sure that's another thing you're monitoring, that no lead is really open for more than like 10 to 12 hours, maybe, except like late evening or weekend leads. But open leads is separate from tasks that you have. So you want to make sure both are 0 at the end of the day.
So
Yeah, Justin already answered that. Yeah.
Sorry. So with that, if we have tasks, do you think we should just cancel the open then? Like just exit that out? I just got on board with someone, and I mean, they have over 1,000 open leads right now, just sitting there. So I'm trying to go through them and do tasks, but it's just, I want to be able to tell, when someone's messaging me if I need to reach out to them or not, but I kind of just want it to be cleaner. So I don't know if I have a task under someone, do you think it's still good to keep it open, or should I just close it? That way I know I'm going to hit it.
I mean, what you can always do is like you can apply another filter to see the leads that don't have it. Like you can filter based on leads with no pending tasks, right? So now it's showing me leads that are open and don't have a pending task. So you can apply another filter. But for us, like, Mitchell said, like these are leads that have communicated with you, but you haven't responded back. So if you have 1,000 leads in your system that have responded back that you haven't communicated with, the first thing I would look into is why that is the case. Like at a minimum, like if you want to get the best value from the system, you want to make sure like you can relax knowing that there's absolutely no lead that's ever slipping through your pipeline. Make sure this is always 0, and abandoned leads, be anything except dead lead, is 0. As long as you do that, there's never ever going to be any lead that's ever going to fall through the crack. I'll quickly show you. Like we bought 6 properties today. These were listed on MLS, but I'll show you like a couple of other ones that I have. So this one, right? So this is the one we have under contract. Guys, please don't call this seller and try to offer more than what we have. But if you see this was in our pipeline for 300 days before we got under contract, right? I mean, this is we had this on a drip campaign. We might have had a task, but when the seller called back, it popped up as an open lead. I'll give you another example that literally we just got in under contract yesterday. This one. And we send them a direct mail back in Jan 2020. We did a new campaign. We send them a direct mail back in, and then we just put them on a drip campaign. We didn't do any other. We stopped using this phone number, and look at it, came into our pipeline 13 days ago, beginning of this month. So they sat on our postcard for 2-3 years before they called us. So this was like before COVID even existed. Wow, imagine that. How long ago was that? So before COVID even existed, we sent them a postcard, Jan 2020, wanted to buy their house. They didn't call us, texted. They called us, texted us 13 days ago, and then we got it under contract. And we're going to close on it in next couple of weeks or so, or might be I didn't put the date correctly, but we'll close on it by the end of the month. So that's why open leads is important. You have your task that you have for these leads, but what if you have a lead that's sitting in your dead lead, for example, right? You're not doing any marketing, you're not doing anything, and they just call you or text you, because they're sitting on your postcard. Those are the ones that will not get missed because they will populate in your open leads. And then you might have other leads that you have on a drip campaign. You're following up with them, texting them, calling them. And let's say you send them a text message a week ago, but they're ready now to text you back. And you don't have a task due for another month, but it's going to say, hey, you have an open lead. So you want to make sure you might not have any tasks. Your tasks are 0, but your open lead is 1 for you. Okay. Oh, sorry. Any other questions on this before I move forward? Claire has a question. Do you mark a lead dead if they have 0 motivation? Only wanted to see if you would pay double the ARV and have no intention. Say, I put a task for a few months to follow, but I don't want to sit in my contact mate column. Clear out. Yeah, I mean, I would do the same thing that Mitchell does. I would put them on a drip. And then just follow. If somebody doesn't have any motivation, then I would follow up with them once every 90 days, once a quarter. Just be like, hey, we spoke about your property, 123 Main Street. Just wanted to see if anything has changed. Like nothing more. Just saying, hey, I'm still interested. If anything changes, just let them know. And you will be surprised. So look at the one that I showed you. We have under contract from postcard we sent 3 years ago, nothing. They didn't call us, text us, and whenever they were ready, they called us and sent us a call or text message. So make sure you put them on a drip campaign, and then just keep following up with them at that point.
Okay, but you're still marking them as dead.
I mean, if we're
like, I don't really want them to sit in that contact made column, because it kind of looks like it's like in working. You know what I mean?
You would not put them on a contact made. You would put them on this right here. So if you look at my pipeline, like we just have 12 leads, so we only have leads that we're actively working on. This is the default that comes out of the box. When you set up, like we don't change. Like this is how we run our business. These are the 3 appointments that we have. And then anybody that says I'm not, so the way I run it, active leads for us is, would they sell their property in next 30 days? If yes, we're actively working. If no, put them on a drip and put them in warm leads. That's it.
Okay, so that's what you're doing when you get a new lead and they're in that new lead column. Instead of moving them to contact made, you're putting them into warm lead. So it takes it off this kind of like working page, if you will.
It depends. If a new lead comes in and we're not able to get in touch with them, we'll put them in no contact made. No contact made, think of it like trying to get in contact with them.
Right.
And we'll keep them there for like a couple of days. If we're not able to get in touch, then there's no reason for that lead to be on our active leads page, because it's just taking real estate that we're not actively like following up. And we'll move it to warm lead and we'll put it on a drip, and then my lead manager will follow up with them. Because so let's say if she has a task to follow up with the lead every week for first month, and then every month after that. So whenever it's due, it will show up in her dashboard right here, right? So she's not going out hunting for that lead. It will automatically pop up right here. She'll just click right here and then just call from right here, right? So whenever, like those would be in warm leads, then she's always starting from left to right, and then she'll call everyone, and she'll do this a couple of times a day. And then that means she's like keeping updated with all the leads that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, Justin has a question. Do you create any drip campaigns for after long-term drip, for example, like an SMS check-in every 4 months, etc., to keep contact? Similar to your long-term that finally popped. We are not, but we are going to be making an update in next 3 or 4 months, where you can have it such that if it finishes one drip, it automatically goes into another drip, or there's a couple of other options you will be able to do. But yeah, I mean, for us, we have very long drips. Like we have some that go on for like 1.5 to 2 years. If you haven't heard back from them, then they're getting captured on us other marketing pieces. So let's say if I have a lead on my drip campaign, and then they don't respond back for a month or 2 months, then we'll do another marketing to them, maybe 1.5 to 2 years later with a different mail piece or something, and then try to capture it at that point.
I had another question for that too. So, because we use a lot of like automations and drips, which I love this system because it's going to work for you. One thing though is, so if we put them on a drip system or a drip campaign and it works and they respond back and it stops the drip campaign, a lot of times it might have like 6 or 7 tasks. Like if it's a longer drip campaign for your lead manager, it might be like a future thing, but could those just be added like as it happens? So like if the leads respond, they don't have to clear out like 8 tasks for like a long-term drip, call them this day, call them this day, call them this day. So then they have to click through it. So it skews your stats.
No, I totally get. Yeah, so we are working on that update where if it stops, it will delete any tasks that were created to drip if you stop the drip. So automatically do that. So we're working on that update.
Okay, cool. And then and this might be future stuff too also, but so I know if we set it up that way where if the lead responds, so they text us or call us, it'll automatically stop the drip if you set it up that way. But when we do outbound, if we connect a call, is that another way that we could like stop? Or would that be like if it connects even a voicemail, it could mess it up?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, I was on a call with someone else and they suggested it. But the thing is, like if it's an inbound call, we have a little bit more information on that call. But if it's an outbound call, we don't really know, like definitely that if it was picked up by a voicemail or if it was picked up by actually human, like we could be 60-70% sure, but we don't want to then it could mess up your other 30-40% lead. So that's why we leave it manual. So whatever we can like 100% confidently automate, we will do that. But wherever there's like, we're not 100% sure, it could be like, even if it works 99% of the time, it doesn't work 1% of the time, then it'll always be in the back of your mind, hey, did it take off the drip, correctly or not? So that's why we haven't done that. Like technically it's not a big update for us, but then it could like, we will not know 100% if you connected or not.
Yeah.
And then some people, depending on the conversation that you have, some people may want to keep that lead. Like if you call someone and they said, hey, I'm not interested, call me back in another month. At that point, you want to keep that person on a drip. So that's why we have that automation off. And then, with depending on the account that you have, there is like, you can set up start drip or stop drip from the dialer screen itself to make it very, very easy, quick to do that. But then, we don't want to automatically stop or start a drip or, without somebody knowing that what's going on with the lead.
Gotcha. I'll use the tag so that they have to like undo, so that's how they know if it is or not, manually take it off. But let me make sure it's doing that right. Cool. Thank you.
So if a lead is on a drip, you'll see an icon pop up here. So you'll know that the lead is on a drip. So if I go right here, if I put this on any drip campaign, it will pop up. Let's say I'm going to do this. Will pop up an icon right here. So this tells me the lead is on a drip campaign.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then I can just go right here and stop the drip from right here.
I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's easy. That will remove the tag step. So
right. Yep. Hey Mitchell, you had a question?
Yep. In regards to the new leads, I know I was kind of discussing that on Facebook. I was having trouble kind of determining the difference between like no contact made and new lead. I think I finally get it now. So I was trying to set up my global task and my campaigns to try to automate it. And my thought was to just leave them in new leads for like the first day and then assign it over either at the end of the shift or the beginning of the next shift, assign it over to no contact made if we haven't gotten in touch with them to automatically start the global task. My question is, if we do it the night before and it triggers a global task to start task for the next day, is that 24 hours or will it just be the next morning? Because like I'd want it to where like at the end of the shift, if they didn't get in touch with them, they can move them over to no contact made and it immediately starts a cadence, a follow-up cadence to set like, call 3 times a day,
so
that kind of route. So
the only step of the drip that will not like happen between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. and it depends on the time zone of the person that you are for the lead is the text message. That's the only thing, just to be TCPA compliant. We haven't done that. But let's say if you had a task, it would trigger a task. And say if you had a task set up to, move the lead to no contact made, then it would trigger the task in those times. So that's not the only thing that it would not do is send the text message between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. based on the time zone of the person or, the area code that you're trying to text.
It would be manual task, but I'm just trying to figure out if they do it at the end of their shift and the global task is to set a task the next day, would it be the next evening? Like, is it literally 24 hours or when you put it at the next day, like one day, is it just come in the morning?
It would be based on, let's say if you had this no contact made and then you want to do it. So you want to have it triggered based on when you move it to no contact made?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like the best way to kind of handle it to keep it automated. Because while it's a new leads, hey, just call them every couple hours. And at the end of the day, if we don't get in touch with them, move them to no contact made and the follow-ups cadence is automatically triggered. So but I wanted to set up like 3 calls during the day. Boom, boom, boom.
I mean, it would depend on when you move it to. So these get triggered based on like the tasks get triggered based on when you move them to that stage. So if you have it, it should happen like, so what I would do is I would set a cutoff for your team that, hey, by this time, everything should move over to no contact made or whichever pipeline you want to, whichever stage you want to move it to, and then have your tasks set up that way. But I think what would help is like the daily email that we're working, it's very, very detailed. Like from what I posted on the Facebook group, it's way more information than that. Like it'll basically tell you everything. So let's say if you got 50 leads today, right? At the end of the day, I'll tell you exactly where those 50 leads are sitting in your pipeline. So we got 50 leads. They tell you 10 are still sitting in new lead, 10 are in no contact made, 10 are in contact made, 5 are in warm lead, 5 are in dead. So it'll go through every single thing. But what I would do is, if I were you, I would set up, hey, if we're logging off at, let's say, 5 or 6, we want to make sure like leads are in the correct status that they need to be in. Maybe you could do it for the next day when we come in. So this way you kind of start fresh from that day. Or
Right.
that could be, or on the reverse side, it could be, hey, the first thing we come in, we do it, we move the lead in the stage that it needs to be in. Like anybody that called you or texted you back after hours, and then after that you come in, the first thing every morning that you do is move it in the stage that it needs to be in.
Yeah,
And
ideally,
then
I'd
have
want
the
them to
task.
clear it out the night before. But again, like if the global task is to trigger it for the next day, like one day, is that 24 hours or would it just trigger it to happen the next morning?
It would be 24 hours, but you can also do it based on the hours. So you could do, let's say if you're doing it at 5 o'clock, right? Then I would just do it like 12 hours. Then it would trigger 5 a.m. right? If your cutoff was 5 p.m., then it would trigger 5 a.m. And then when they come in, they'll see the new task that they have for that day.
Okay. Yep. That's what I'm gonna have to do. And I kind of like that idea, having a set time for them to do it every, before you end your shift at 7, switch them
Right.
over right then. And that way it's set as a certain number of hours, it can be triggered. So that's
Exactly.
kind of what I was trying to do. Perfect.
Yeah.
Man.
So if you do that, and then once you start seeing the daily email, like it's a very, very detailed daily email. Like we went through all the feedback and they were like, let's just incorporate everything. Just pulling a lot of data from different, so, and you'll know exactly kind of what's going on with the business, like how many calls every person made, how long were they on the call for, what was their average call duration. So you will have, like, you'll know exactly everything that happened in your business for that day, and you'll know like for the next day how to kind of get started with your day.
No, I love that email idea. Just curious, what's the cutoff on that? Like, is that pulled at like midnight or?
It'll be somewhere between 11 p.m. and 12 a.m. EST is
Okay,
when
so
it will go. It has to go out to the same, like everyone at the same time. So it'll be 11:30 p.m. Everyone gets it, or like the main account holder. Then you can choose if you want to have someone on your team get that data also.
and
But
it
it's like
pulls the
very, very
report
deep.
at that time.
Yeah,
So
it takes
it
a
was not pulling
snapshot
the
at
report like,
that time.
okay, perfect, man.
Right.
Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Cool. All right, Brandon has a question. Is it possible for lead to automatically be added to a drip campaign? Yes. So that's what I want to go into next. So this feature is available in Pro and Enterprise. So what you want to do is when you go and click on any leads campaign, you'll see these two tabs called drip automation and tag automation. So what this does is exactly what Brandon asked. You can have this lead be automatically, sorry, Braden, not Brandon. I apologize, man. So this lead could automatically be put on your drip campaign without you doing anything. I would definitely do this for any leads that you're getting through PPC, SEO, paper lead, the ones that you are like any inbound leads that you're spending money on trying to get it, generate those leads. I would 100% do this. So what you do is you go into this and you can do it based on every single campaign. So the ones that you have for Google PPC, paper lead, definitely do that. So you go in, check yes. And then you can do it based on Zapier, Carrot, depending on different triggers that we have. You go ahead and select yes. And then what you do is select what drip you want to put them on. So this is where you would select, like, you might have an online or PPC lead drip, for example, this. So any lead that comes in from your drip camp or from your, for that campaign through Zapier integration or through Carrot website, it will automatically be on this drip campaign without you doing anything. So how we use in our businesses for PPC leads that are coming into our pipeline, they automatically get put on a drip campaign. They're getting a call from us immediately. Not call, sorry. They're getting a text from us immediately. They're getting an email from us within a minute. And then we wait 5 minutes to call them. So they get a text, an email, we wait and see if they responded to either call, if they've responded to either text or email to see if they might want to communicate through text or email with us. If not, then we call them. And if they do not pick up, we leave them on a drip campaign. So you don't have to do anything. You just go ahead and do this. I'll quickly show you on this also how it works. So I'm going to do new lead strip and I will select web form. So copy this. So it would work the same way if you were doing through Zapier. Just lead. So this is for my Google AdWords. And let me just make sure I saved it. Okay, I did. Yep. So once I do this, I'm sorry, Google and PPC. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. This is my test account, but hopefully it should still push it right here. Yep. So if you look right here, it automatically pushed the lead, and the lead is already on a drip campaign. So it would work the same way if you're getting a lead through Zapier, if you're getting a lead through website, even if you had a lead from missed call, there's like a few different triggers that you can use it for. If I go right here, I think you can do it based on whether the call was answered or not answered, missed call. So if I go right here, but at least we use it for the Zapier, the website triggers. And also, yeah, that's what we mainly use it for. So Braden, your question about automatically putting lead, 100%, you definitely want to do this. It really, really automates the follow-up. So you could possibly, and then there's no limit to how many steps you can have on a drip campaign. So, you know, a lot of people, what they like to do is, like, especially coming from Podio or some other system, like there's, you know, traditionally been a limit on how many steps you can have on a drip campaign. So with REsimpli, there's no limit to number of steps and number of drips. So what you could do is you could have a drip campaign with like 100 steps or more. The first 10, 15 steps are a little bit more aggressive, where, you know, you're trying to call them every day, a couple of times a day, texting them, emailing them. And then if you don't hear back from them for a week, then you wait once a week, you know, for a couple of weeks, and then every other week, then monthly, then every other month. So you can have the same drip, but change the frequency of how often you're texting them. But yeah, this, again, so what would happen with this is once the lead is created in your system, it would automatically, based on the lead that came in, whether it's on a drip, created a task, it would update throughout the system. So again, everything eventually comes back to this dashboard, you know, whether you have lead on a drip or not. You want to manage everything that you have from this dashboard, your task, you know, your abandoned leads, new leads, everything. So now this is 6 because I just had a new lead come into my pipeline right here. So as I work on this, you know, and I mark it completed or whatnot, then I want to move it to the next stage in my pipeline and then just manage it and make sure my dashboard is getting cleared out. So that's one way to automate your lead follow-up. And the other is this feature is only available in enterprise plan, but it's really, really cool feature. It's what you can do is, so we call it speed to lead. Basically what it is doing, it is connecting you with the lead in literally 30 to 45 seconds without any human interaction. So you can say, all right, as soon as a lead is created from this campaign, if it comes from, you know, REsimpli websites, when we go live, we'll go live, by the way, next week. We finalize that. And if the lead comes from Zapier integration carrot, or if it comes from a web form, what it will do is it will immediately send a text message to whoever the owner and acquisition manager are for that lead. So let's say if I am the owner and I have 2 acquisition managers on that lead, so send a text to me. You want to make sure they are on, you have this selected, not do not call, and then it'll send a text message to the 2 acquisition people that I have. And it'll basically send you information of name of the person, name of the lead, property address, and the lead source. So in this case, it'll say, let's say 123 Main Street, John Doe, and lead came from Google AdWords PPC campaign. So you know, yes, some background on the lead, and then it will immediately call you. So someone is on your REsimpli website, they fill out a form, they want to be, you know, they put in their property information, you immediately get a text, and everyone on your team gets a call immediately. So let's say if I pick up, so it's calling me as the owner, it's calling my acquisition managers. So it's ringing all 3 of them on our cell phones. So I pick up the phone, it's going to say REsimpli instant lead connect, press 1 to be connected. All you do is just press 1, and then it immediately calls the lead. It will hang up the call that went out to the acquisition manager. It'll just keep you on the line. and it will start ringing the lead. And this happens very, very instant, like within 30 to 45 seconds, you're immediately connected with the lead. So even, while the person might still be on the website, on your website, checking you out, they already have a call from you from the phone number that they saw on the website. So the text that you're getting, the call that you're getting on your phone number and the acquisition man, it's all happening from the campaign number. Even the lead, the call that the lead is getting also happens from the campaign phone number. So everything stays from that campaign phone number, and then all your communication activity log, everything gets saved in the lead itself. So really, really cool feature, especially again, I would say for paper lead, PPC, SEO leads that you really want to start, you really want to get in touch with as soon as possible. So, hey, Braden, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So there's nothing to answer my question on the basic plan, eh? You can't automate that. You have to manually go in and select a campaign.
Correct. So what I would do in that case is, for you, I would just have a global task for new lead, and then I would just call it, put on a drip. Then somebody on your team is responsible to put it on a drip campaign. You can make it your acquisition manager, for example, and then you can do it like within 1 minute. And then you can also have like text and email notification go out. So as soon as the lead is created, your team gets a text message, whoever is assigned for it. I would make a responsibility of a person who is going to be most in front of a computer. So in my team, it's my lead manager. So anything that needs to be done on computer, like she is the one who's getting those tasks assigned. And then you can just go in and assign that task. Assign it to put it on a drip campaign.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right. Andrew has a question. If a lead has multiple phone numbers or contacts, and we put the lead on a SMS drip, which phone number contacts will be as? So great question, Andrew. It is going out. The drip is going to be put on the primary phone number. So in this case, let me go to a lead that has multiple phone numbers. Let me see. Yeah. So if I have multiple phone numbers, and this is the one that I want to put on a drip campaign, then I want to make sure I make this my primary contact, and then put it on a drip campaign, and then the text will go out to this phone number. It does not send out to multiple phone numbers yet. So you want to make sure the primary contact is the one that is getting, that is, whoever you want to have the text message be sent out, make sure that contact is the primary contact. Justin has a question. Is there a place to see talk time KPI of your lead manager? Currently used to track number of dials, but wanted to shift KPIs for them to be more focused on quality conversations. I'm curious. Yes. So if you go right here, so again, sorry, you will see KPI comparison. So that will be coming a little bit later for everyone. But if you go into leaderboard, Justin, it defaults to this year, but you can see how many calls my team made, every single person, how many SMS they sent, what was their average call duration, what was their total call duration. So if you are, pulling this up in your daily, weekly meeting, and you don't want to share the revenue or average revenue number, I would just hide these and then apply the filter to, let's say, time period between, if you're doing it, let's say with this month, then I would do that. It would update for this specific month, and it'll show you calls made, SMS sent, average call duration for this month, and total call duration for this month. Okay. And then, yeah, it also gives you the data about how many tasks, leads, and internal inbox messages that they haven't replied back to. Oh. All right. Any other questions, guys, on this? Or anything else in the system? Again, I know a lot of you guys asked for the website. It is in my account. We are testing it. We decided to make one last quick change with it, just to make it like more 10 DLC compliant. I don't know if I have it in my website yet, but there will be, yeah. So it is on my, so you will see this when we go live with it. So you will have this. It makes it like this. There's another requirement that you will start noticing 10 DLC requirement that they want to start seeing an opt-in message. So we've already taken care of that. You can remove it if you want, but it will be by default. And then somebody can click on the privacy policy, and we've also added the information. It should be somewhere right here on the requirements, whatever the requirement is for 10 DLC. So that kind of took us a little bit of time. to do that, but we wanted to make sure when we went live, it was 10 DLC compliant. So there's a lot of changes coming with that, but that's kind of what we ended up doing. And one other change that's coming, we'll send out an email this week, is if you are sending mass text messages to your buyers using toll-free number, so starting next month, April 1st, there will be a limit of 2,000 text messages per day from any toll-free number. So if you have a buyers list of 10,000 people that you want to text pass, you will no longer be able to do that from one phone number. There will be a limit of sending maximum 2,000 text messages per day from any toll-free number. So that's another requirement that's coming. So if you have 10,000 people that you want to text the same day, you will have to start doing it from 5 different phone numbers. So 2,000 messages per phone number. 2,000 messages. So one phone number equal to 2,000 messages per day, and max limit of 10,000 per week and 50,000 per month is going to be the limit moving forward, is what we found out. So the idea is, if you really are sending mass text messages, the idea is the carriers really want you to get the 5-digit, I forgot what it's called, but the carriers really want you to like move away from toll-free for bulk text and get that short code phone number. Yeah, Braden, you can get access to this. So if you go to facebook.com, and if you go to Mastermind for Real Estate Wholesale, it's free for anyone to join. So you can go ahead and join that. And then I think we also put them in our help.resimpli.com, I believe. Otherwise, you can just email us at support@resimpli.com and we can send it to you. I believe they get updated right here also. Let me see. Yeah, they get updated right here also. So you'll see all the Q&A right here. If you go to help.resimpli.com and then just go to the mastermind calls all the way at the end. So you'll see the calls right there. John has a question. So John, I believe the question is, can you have this checked by default, right? Unfortunately not, because the reason being, because let's say if you were to get audited by by any carrier for sending text messages, then they will require you to provide proof of when somebody actually checked in this box. So we will keep track of that for you, but just know that that's kind of, it's going to start coming where you might get audited by a carrier that, hey, we want to see a proof that you're sending text message. Can you show us like when did somebody opt in? So when somebody's calling you or texting you, then you have proof of that in activity log. But if somebody comes to your website, then we'll have that somebody actually, like we had this on our website, that they checked in and what date and time they checked in on the website. Yeah, so that's going to be coming from cell phone carriers. It's a pain. We were on a call with Twilio yesterday. We use Plivo, and we were on a call with Twilio yesterday asking the same thing, and they said it's changing daily, weekly, and it's depending on. So there's actually, when you submit your 10 DLC, there's actually an individual who reviews all the documentation. It's not like an automated process. Somebody's actually physically reviewing the documentation that you submit, and they might flag something for, if your website says we buy houses, and then the campaign, in your campaign description you put I want to send text messages to patients for my doctor practice, then they will not approve it. Like, they're going to that length. It used to be easier, but every week it's becoming a little bit more complicated. But 10 DLC hasn't gone in to practice yet, so really nobody's getting affected right now. I think for us the deadline is April 15th. That's when, if you're not registered, then your messages could stop getting delivered if you're not registered for 10 DLC. So make sure, if you're not, please make sure you do that. And this will be another requirement that is mandatory now.
Hey, Sharad.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the 10 DLC, so is that for every single phone number that we've bought with you guys? So even for like our cold calling numbers, direct mail numbers, do we need to have all those numbers registered? Because I haven't done any of that.
Any phone number that you're sending a text from, it only affects text messages.
Okay.
If you're not sending a text message, then you're okay. So before we went live with Dialer, we literally had this built out that you could go into any record. You could like call someone. You could like literally just go in right here, and there was an icon for text someone, like just next to call, but we removed it mainly because of, just really because of 10 DLC, because if you text from a number, then it has to be registered. I shouldn't say it has to be, but you really want to get it registered with 10 DLC, otherwise your messages will not go through. So it really doesn't affect your toll free, your cold calling number, though a lot of people have been asking us, they want to see a feature for text messaging in Dialer. We will add that, but just be very, very mindful of the fact that when you are registering your campaign, you are registering your entire brand. So let's say if I am registering my company, ABC Home Buyer, so all the phone numbers that I have, cold calling, my direct mail, TV, radio, they're all getting registered under that brand, ABC Buys Houses. And let's say if I'm sending a lot of junk text messages, and it's not one provider another. So let's say if you're using us for cold calling, and you're using another platform for texting, and you registered your 10 DLC for texting through them, but it's under the same brand, ABC House Buyer. And if the carrier shut you down on that, they're going to shut you down on all platforms. So you really want to be mindful of that. Again, we haven't seen anything, but that's, based on my conversation with Willie O'Cleaver, that's the direction the industry is going to go. So you want to make sure that, especially we have, some of you guys on this call, you spend a lot of money on your phone numbers, vanity numbers for TV, radio, and some other marketing campaigns. So if you really want to have, like I would think of separating your marketing business from your sales business. So your marketing business would be if you're doing a lot of texting, cold calling, those are almost like a separate entity with different EIN number, whole separate website and everything, from your, your sales business once the lead comes in, just to keep it separate. So if you were to get, flagged for any reason, it doesn't affect your entire business. And Kathy has a question. What about drips? Yeah, so any messages that are going out from drip campaign, any text message that's going on, it doesn't matter. It's through any platform, even if you have Vonage, if you have CallRail, or any platform, it's the same requirement that you have to register. Otherwise, your text message delivery would definitely get affected. So keep that in mind as you guys are scaling your business, that, if you're very heavily invested in texting, for example, or cold calling, and you're, texting them also, like really, if you're doing a lot of, cold texting, if you can keep it a separate entity, think of it like as a marketing entity versus your operating entity / sales entity. So you're not getting flagged on both, and you're keeping it really separate. All right. Any other questions that I can help you guys with? A couple of other updates that I know a lot of you guys have been, we get a lot of tickets for it, that we are going to be adding soon, is you will be able to take some bulk action on these leads. So you will be able to select, like there'll be another option called like select all. You can select bulk move status, delete leads. So that's going to be coming. And I know a lot of you guys asked, I know Brett, you asked this, that if I have somebody call me, they're not actually a lead, they're actually a buyer or a vendor, you will see an option like come out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. There'll be an option to like basically it says move to lead, and then a move to buyer or vendor, and then you can move that contact over to buyer or vendor, take it out of lead. So those some of the things that we're working on. They'll be coming out in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Would it be possible in that same regard to have like a bulk action, and then like have like a checkbox that pops up for every single lead? That way we can maybe like assign to a drip campaign, or assign the same task to all of them. Is that possible to be able to, because like for me, I think I have probably like 50 new leads, but I might want to do 20 of those, assign a certain task, and 20 assign a certain drip campaign. Is that possible?
This is what, when we go live, this is what the initial version will look like. So you'll have option to select all, right? Or you can go ahead and select like specific leads. And then once you do that, you'll see option to delete leads or change status. Those are the initial options that we're going to go live with. If you click on delete leads, we'll ask you confirm that you want to delete. This action cannot be undone. Once they're deleted, they're deleted. So you really want to make sure. And then you can change status. You can bulk move them to warm lead, dead. If you move them to dead lead, then you select a reason, then all of them get applied to that. So those are the two limited actions we will be going live with when we go live with this. So when you hover on a lead, you'll see an option to check, or you can select all the leads in a status, and then either delete them or change status of them. So we didn't do like offer made or under contract, because every lead would have, you know, a unique information when you're moving it to offer made or under contract. But as far as deleting leads, changing status to no contact made, those you will be able to do in bulk, and that will trigger your global task for all the leads at the same time.
So maybe, so in the future, would it be possible to do the same thing, but just be able to assign a task to the ones we select, or assign a drip campaign to the ones we select? Is that a possibility?
Correct. Yes. So we I don't think drip campaign, because then it goes into the like spam texting. You know, again, like it's not an issue for us. Like technically, it's a very simple thing for us to do, but it runs the risk of like getting your account shut down. That's a risk you take. So if you have 100 leads and you put them all on a drip campaign at the same time, it could really get your account flagged and get you shut down. So that's why we haven't done that.
What about a task?
Task, yeah. So we'll go live with this, then we'll keep building more like task and some other things that you will be able to do based like as part of the bulk action.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Any other questions, guys? Awesome. Thank you, Claire. Sharad, can you talk a little more about the coming website feature, speed to lead only in REsimpli website can be added? Yes, you can. James had a question about, can we add speed to lead to other websites? Yes. So we already have integration with, so if your lead is coming from Carrot also, then you can have speed to lead enabled if it's coming from Zapier, if it's coming from that form. So you can choose any one of these triggers. So if you have a Carrot lead and a lead comes in from Carrot, then you can have the speed to lead be triggered through your Carrot website, Zapier web form also, in addition to REsimpli lead. And one other thing we'll be doing, we understand that a lot of you guys have VAs that are based overseas. So you will see an update come out that in everyone's profile, you will be able to save international phone numbers also. So you'll be able to, like if you have someone in, you know, Brazil, for example, you want to put their phone number, you will be able to put their phone number, and the speed to lead will work with that international phone number also. Just know that there will be different pricing for that. But a lot of you guys asked for that feature for, you know, we have some people that have team in Mexico, Philippines, India, and different places. So we're working on this where it'll get triggered for any country that you have pretty much where you want somebody to get a call. James, so do you have specific website that you're trying to trigger it for? If you want to let me know, then I can definitely check with our development team. Exists. Yeah, I mean, if you want to send it over to us, like you can always link that website through Zapier, and then it'll pick that trigger up as a Zapier trigger. So if you want to do that, you can certainly do that. But we don't have additional triggers right now, but we have Carrot, Zapier, REsimpli website, and webform. But I know some other teams that have used Zapier integration with a non-Carrot or non-REsimpli website and have it come through that. It will be most likely it'll be a week from today that will be going live. Yeah, a couple of people on my development team are out of town this rest of the week, so that's why we didn't want to go live now. So they'll be back next week. They'll do final testing on Monday, then we should be going live Tuesday with this. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on the call. This was a great call, and the recording will be available on our Facebook group. Let me put the link to our Facebook group really quick for if you guys are not part of that. So here's I put a link to our Facebook group in the chat. So if you're not part of the group, just go ahead and click on that. And you don't have to be a REsimpli member. You can just join. It's open for anyone, so you can go ahead and join. And then all the recordings that we do are available on that on that Facebook mastermind. So it should be available in the next 5-10 minutes once we end the call. It takes like 5-10 minutes for the call to process. And Marianne had a question, will you have speed to lead as an add-on right now? It's not, we don't have plans for making it as an add-on right now. Right now, it's going to stay just part of the enterprise plan for now. Maybe we'll see in the future. We have few other really cool things we're working on, that are going to come in pro and enterprise, and some things that are going to come on the basic plan. But at least for speed to lead, we don't have any plans to make it an add-on right now. Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much. Next next 3 weeks, we are actually going to have a guest come on the call. So I'm excited about that. We're going to talk about some profit first with a profit first expert and a couple of other experts in their niche. I don't have that in front of me, but I'm excited about the next 3 weeks calls. But if you guys have any feedback on any of the calls, please let us know at support@REsimpli.com. If you want to see more calls with guests on them, or a specific guest that you want us to bring on a specific topic, please let us know. We want to make sure we're adding as much value as we can to your business. So send us an email at support@REsimpli.com, and we'll make sure we make it happen for you guys. Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on next week call. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.